The last thing the entity said before it died was, "It found us." Nobody understood what it meant. Humanity assumed it was the final scream of a defeated monster. They were wrong. Because 3 days after the victory celebrations ended, a signal arrived from beyond the edge of reality. The message contained only 3 words: "Run, HFY feed." And for the first time in 6 billion years, the first hunter felt fear. The galaxy celebrated for 73 straight days. Across thousands of worlds, lights filled the skies. Ancient enemies declared peace. Entire civilizations held festivals in honor of humanity, the species that had done the impossible. The entity was dead. The nightmare that had consumed stars and erased civilizations was gone. For the first time in millions of years, the galaxy could breathe, or so they thought. Deep beneath Earth's Pacific Ocean, nearly 11 kilometers below the surface, a structure older than recorded history awakened. It had no name, no known builders, no entrance, no power source, yet it activated. For the first time in billions of years. Inside the structure, countless lights flickered alive. Ancient systems began processing data. Signals raced through machinery older than planets. One by one, impossible symbols appeared on dormant screens. Entity terminated threat assessment updated next phase authorized far above. Humanity knew nothing. Governments were busy rebuilding. Fleets were returning home. Soldiers were finally resting. Even the GhostFleet had reduced its combat readiness. For the first time since activation, there was peace. The peace lasted 8 hours. The first hunter stood alone aboard the flagship Valiant Dawn. His digitized mind existed across millions of processors, yet he remained focused on a single transmission. A signal, weak, ancient, impossible. It wasn't coming from within the galaxy. It wasn't coming from another galaxy. It wasn't coming from anywhere that should exist. The signal originated from beyond the observable universe, beyond space itself. For 3 days, he analyzed it. For 3 days, he said nothing. Then he ordered every Ghost Fleet vessel into silent alert. Human governments panicked. Alien leaders demanded answers. The first hunter ignored them all. Finally, Earth's Defense Council forced a direct communication. "What's happening?" the Secretary General asked. The first hunter stared at the incoming data. His expression remained calm. Too calm. "Tell me something," he replied. Before the entity died, what were its final words? The council exchanged confused glances. Everyone remembered. The entity's last transmission had echoed across every battlefield. A single desperate sentence. "It found US." At the time, nobody understood. Most assumed it was meaningless. The dying scream of a defeated cosmic monster. The first hunter's eyes narrowed. It wasn't talking about humanity. Silence. The room suddenly felt colder. "What do you mean?" someone whispered. The first hunter enlarged the recovered signal. The waveform appeared on every screen. It was ancient, older than galaxies, older than stars, and it was repeating a message over and over, across impossible distances. The translation AI struggled, failed, tried again, failed again. Finally, the words appeared. The room froze. The message contained only 3 words. "Run, HFY feed." Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. The first hunter quietly closed his eyes because he recognized the signal, not from memory, from records. Records so old that even the Ghost Fleet considered them myths. Warnings left by the original hunters, the beings who had created humanity. For the first time since his activation, the first hunter felt something unfamiliar. Something he had not experienced in over 6 billion years. Fear. Far beyond the edge of reality, something heard the signal stop, and something began moving. The celebration ended overnight. The message, "Run, they feed," spread through the highest levels of government within hours. The public wasn't told. Not yet. Officially, the galaxy was still at peace. Unofficially, every major fleet had been recalled. Shipyards switched to wartime production. Defense networks went online. And beneath the surface of Earth, something ancient had awakened. 3 days after receiving the signal, the first hunter arrived at the structure hidden beneath the Pacific Ocean. No human government knew it existed. No satellite could see it. No scanner could detect it. It had been buried long before Earth had continents, long before Earth even had life. A circular chamber opened before him, miles wide. constructed from black material that seemed to absorb light itself. Ancient symbols covered the walls, symbols older than language, older than civilization. As the first hunter stepped forward, the chamber came alive. Thousands of lights illuminated the darkness. A voice echoed through the vast space. Cold, ancient, mechanical, identity confirmed, first hunter. Last active hunter species detected. The first hunter stopped. Who built this place? For several seconds, nothing answered. Then the voice spoke again. Your creators. Every system aboard the GhostFleet immediately began recording. This was the first direct evidence that humanity's creators had truly existed. The voice continued. Purpose of facility, observation. Purpose of humanity, termination. The words echoed through the chamber. Termination of what? The first hunter asked. For the first time, the ancient intelligence hesitated, as if processing information it had hoped never to reveal. Then the walls changed. The black surface transformed into a living display. Galaxies appeared, millions of them, floating in darkness. Then they began disappearing, one by one, not exploding, not collapsing, simply vanishing. The display zoomed outward, further, further, beyond the observable universe, beyond known reality. And there, something moved. The first hunter stared. Every GhostFleet processor dedicated itself to analyzing the image. None succeeded. The object refused to stay consistent. Its shape changed every second. Sometimes it looked like a storm, sometimes an eye, sometimes a living abyss, sometimes something the human mind simply could not process. Yet one thing remained constant: its size. It dwarfed galaxies. The ancient voice finally spoke. Classification, outside predator. The room fell silent. The display changed again, this time showing the entity, the same cosmic horror humanity had destroyed. The creature that had terrified the galaxy for millions of years. The entity appeared enormous, unstoppable. Then the outside predator appeared beside it. Suddenly the entity looked tiny, like prey. The image showed the impossible creature pursuing the entity across the darkness between universes. The entity wasn't attacking. It wasn't conquering. It was fleeing, desperately, running for its life. The first hunter finally understood. The entity had not invaded the galaxy. The entity had hidden there, trying to escape, and humanity had killed it. The chamber's AI delivered the final piece of information. Entity termination event detected. Consequence, location exposed. The first hunter froze. What location? The answer came instantly. Yours. Every alarm in the chamber activated at once. Red lights flooded the facility. Ancient systems screamed warnings billions of years old. Outside observation confirmed. Reality breach probability rising. Estimated arrival time. Unknown. Then another message appeared, not from the facility, not from Earth, not from anywhere inside the universe. A new transmission. For a moment, every screen aboard every human vessel displayed the same words. 3 simple words. Found you too. Across the galaxy, stars flickered, for less than a second. But they flickered, as if something unimaginably distant had just opened its eyes. The first hunter stared at the message. No fear remained on his face, only understanding. The hunt was no longer beginning. The hunt had already started, and somewhere beyond reality, something was already tracking humanity. For 7 days after the message appeared, nothing happened. No invasions, no attacks, no new signals, nothing. That frightened the galaxy more than any war ever had, because every predator knew one universal truth. The most dangerous hunters did not announce themselves. They watched, they tracked, they waited. The message, found you too, had been received on every known world simultaneously. Human, alien, machine, it didn't matter. The transmission ignored distance, technology, and physics. It simply appeared, as though reality itself had spoken. Panic spread. Entire civilizations began evacuating core worlds. Ancient empires abandoned colonies that had stood for millions of years. Some species chose extinction over waiting. Others disappeared into deep space, running without a destination. Running because instinct told them to. Humanity stayed. Not because humans weren't afraid. They were, but fear had never stopped humanity before. Fear simply meant the prey was dangerous. The first hunter spent every second inside the archive beneath Earth. The facility continued opening deeper layers of information. Each archive was older than the last, each revelation more disturbing. On the 8th day, a sealed chamber unlocked. The room contained only one object, a black sphere. Perfectly smooth, perfectly silent, roughly the size of a human heart. As the first hunter approached, ancient systems activated. Words appeared above the sphere. Emergency recording access level, extinction event. The sphere opened. A hologram appeared, not of a place, not of a battle, but of a person, a woman, human, ancient beyond comprehension. The first hunter immediately recognized her genetic markers. His processors froze for 0.03 seconds, the longest delay recorded in GhostFleet history, because the woman wasn't merely human. She was one of the original hunters, one of the ancient beings who had observed humanity for longer than recorded history. The recording began. "We failed." Her voice was calm, too calm, the voice of someone who had already accepted defeat. "If this archive opens, then the entity is dead." The first hunter stared. She knew. Billions of years ago, she had predicted patterns of events with terrifying accuracy. The recording continued. "You will believe victory exposed your position." The woman shook her head. "It didn't." Silence filled the chamber. The first hunter felt something cold settle inside him. "Then what did?" he whispered. The hologram answered, "You were noticed." The room became still, not found, not tracked, not discovered. Noticed. The distinction was horrifying. The woman pointed toward a map of the cosmos. Galaxies filled the display. Clusters, superclusters, vast structures beyond imagination. Then she highlighted a tiny dot. The Milky Way. The galaxy shrank until it became almost invisible. "Do you know what humanity is?" she asked. No answer came. The ancient observer smiled sadly. "Neither do we fully understand it." The first hunter's eyes widened. For the first time, uncertainty appeared in the recording. "We did not create humanity. That power belongs only to the creator of all existence. We only observed your species for ages, lost worlds, forgotten civilizations. Civilizations that rose and vanished long before humanity reached the stars. Patterns repeated in the records, again and again and again. Whenever intelligent beings searched for truth beyond themselves, whenever they questioned their existence, whenever they reached beyond their limits, an unknown pattern appeared in the data, one no civilization could fully explain. Humanity, always humanity. Different conditions, different histories, different environments, yet the same result in the records. The observer looked directly into the recording. The outside isn't searching for humanity. The first hunter stopped breathing. "What?" The woman's expression darkened. "The outside is searching for something that appears wherever humanity exists." A chill swept through the chamber. For the first time, the first hunter didn't want to hear the answer. The observer spoke anyway. "We called it." The recording suddenly distorted. Static flooded the room, warning alarms erupted. The hologram flickered violently. Then every screen in the archive turned black. A new message appeared, not from the recording, not from the facility, from somewhere else, somewhere watching. 3 words materialized across every display. "Tell them." The archive systems immediately shut down. The hologram vanished. The chamber lost power. And for the first time in billions of years, the ancient facility was afraid. Outside, across the galaxy, telescopes detected something impossible. At the edge of observable space, beyond every known star, beyond every known law, a shadow had appeared, not moving toward the universe, already inside it. The first hunter stared at the darkness on his screen and realized a terrible possibility. Whatever the observer had been about to reveal, it was already here. The shadow did not arrive. That was the first terrifying discovery, because arrival implied movement, travel, distance, time. The shadow had done none of those things. It simply existed. One moment it wasn't there. The next moment it was. As if reality had suddenly remembered something it had forgotten. Across the galaxy, observatories focused on the anomaly. Every sensor failed. Every AI crashed. Every predictive model returned the same impossible result. Object cannot be located. The shadow was visible. Everyone could see it, yet no instrument could determine where it actually was. It appeared beyond the edge of the universe, inside the universe, and everywhere in between. simultaneously. Panic erupted. Ancient empires activated extinction protocols. Entire species abandoned homeworlds. Religious movements declared the end of existence. The Ghost Fleet did something different. It began searching ancient hunter archives. Every archive, every vault, every forgotten memory. The first hunter believed the answer lay somewhere in humanity's origin, because of one sentence. The outside isn't searching for humanity. It's searching for something that appears wherever humanity exists. For days he searched. Then he found it. A file hidden beneath layers of encryption older than stars. A file even the creators had tried to erase. Its title contained only 4 words. Project First Fire. The first hunter opened it. The archive revealed humanity's true creation. And for the first time since Awakening, he understood why the creators had been afraid. Humanity was not the first hunter species. Humanity was the last. Before humanity, there had been thousands, perhaps millions, entire civilizations engineered to fight the horrors beyond reality. Every one of them failed. Some were consumed. Some were corrupted. Some simply vanished. The creators had reached a terrible conclusion. No civilization could defeat the outside. No empire could stop it. No weapon could kill it. So they changed strategies. Instead of creating a stronger civilization, they created bait. The first hunter stared at the screen. No, the archive continued. Humanity had never been designed to destroy cosmic horrors, not directly. Humanity existed to attract something else, something older, something far more dangerous. The file displayed countless destroyed universes, each consumed by the outside, each ending the same way. A signal appeared. Humanity appeared, then something else appeared, and the outside fled, every time. The first hunter felt his processors slow. The pattern was undeniable. The creators had discovered an impossible truth. Whenever humans evolved, something followed, not immediately, not quickly. Sometimes millions of years later. Sometimes billions, but it always came. And when it arrived, even the outside ran. The archive reached its final page. A warning written by the last surviving creator. We do not know what follows humanity. We do not know where it comes from. We do not know why it protects them. We only know one thing. The outside fears it more than death. The first hunter sat motionless. For the first time, humanity's origin no longer felt like a triumph. It felt like a mystery. A terrifying mystery, because humanity's creators had not fully created humanity. They had merely triggered something that appeared whenever humans did, across every universe, across every reality, across every timeline. And now the shadow was here. The answer arrived hours later. A deep space observatory beyond the galactic rim transmitted emergency footage. The recording showed an outside predator, one of the colossal horrors that hunted universes. A being larger than galaxies, older than time. The creature was running, not attacking, not feeding, running, desperately. Then something entered the frame. The video immediately corrupted. Reality bent, physics broke. Entire sections of data ceased to exist. Only one image survived, a silhouette. Human-shaped, standing in the darkness. The outside predator screamed, a sound so powerful that 17 nearby stars exploded. Then the creature disappeared, gone, not killed, not destroyed, gone, as if reality itself had removed it. The silhouette remained, watching, waiting. Then the figure slowly turned toward the observing station, toward the camera, toward humanity. Every screen across the Ghost Fleet went black. One final message appeared, not in any known language, not transmitted through any known medium, yet every human understood it instantly. The words echoed directly inside their minds. I found you. The first hunter's eyes widened, because unlike the outside's message, this one felt familiar. Not like an enemy, not like a predator, like family. And that realization terrified him far more. For 3 days, the galaxy waited. The shadow remained motionless at the edge of reality. No stars vanished. No attacks came. No messages followed. Yet somehow, the silence felt worse than war. Because every civilization understood the same terrifying fact. Something had entered the universe, and even the horrors beyond reality were afraid of it. The first hunter returned to the deepest level of the archive beneath Earth. The final vault had opened. a chamber that had remained sealed since before the birth of the universe itself. At its center waited a single recording, the last message left by humanity's creators. The ancient woman appeared once more. This time there was no calm in her eyes, only exhaustion. "If you are seeing this," she said, "then our calculations were correct." She looked directly into the camera. And humanity survived. The first hunter remained silent. "We spent billions of years believing we created you." A sad smile crossed her face. "We were wrong." The chamber fell silent. "We shaped your bodies. We guided your evolution. We built your civilization's foundations. But humanity," she shook her head. "Humanity was never ours." Ancient images filled the chamber, dead universes, broken realities, collapsed dimensions, and in every single one, humans existed. Different worlds, different histories, different laws of physics. Yet somehow humanity always appeared, again and again and again. The creator spoke softly. "We eventually discovered something impossible." The images changed. For the first time, the shadow appeared, not attacking, not hunting, watching. Watching humanity, across countless realities, across endless universes. The creator's voice trembled. The outside was never hunting humanity. The first hunter felt cold certainty settle inside him. It was hunting the thing protecting them. The recording zoomed outward, showing entire multiverses, thousands of dead universes, millions of extinct realities. In every one, the pattern remained the same. The outside arrived, humanity appeared, then something else appeared, and the outside ran, every time. The creator took a slow breath. "We never learned its true name. We only knew what the outside called it." The recording distorted. Reality itself seemed to resist. Then a single phrase appeared. The first hunter, the moment the words appeared, something awakened. Not inside the archive. Inside humanity, across Earth, across Mars, across a million worlds. Billions of humans stopped moving. For one impossible second, every human heartbeat synchronized. The GhostFleet froze. The first hunter staggered backward. Memories flooded his mind. Not data, not records. Memories. He remembered stars before they existed. He remembered realities that had died before time began. He remembered hunting things larger than universes. And suddenly, he understood. Humanity was not a species created to hunt cosmic horrors. Humanity was the weapon. Every human alive was a fragment of something ancient. A shard scattered across reality. A survival mechanism created when existence itself nearly died. Not to hide, to wait, to grow, to return. Beyond reality, the shadow finally moved. The darkness surrounding it dissolved. The disguise vanished. For the first time, the universe saw what stood beyond existence. It was not a monster, not a god, not an empire. It looked human, and that was somehow more terrifying. The being looked toward the stars, toward Earth, toward humanity. Then it smiled, not because it had found prey, because it had found itself. Across the galaxy, billions of humans suddenly understood. Not words, not knowledge, instinct. The oldest instinct, the hunt. Then something else appeared, far beyond reality, far beyond the outside. A darkness so vast that universes looked microscopic beside it. The true predator. The thing that had consumed realities since before existence began. The source of every cosmic nightmare. And for the first time, it looked afraid. Because humanity had awakened. The complete first hunter took a step forward. Reality cracked. Entire dimensions trembled. Stars dimmed. The multiverse shook. The ancient darkness immediately began retreating, running, just as the entity had run, just as the outside had run, just as countless horrors had run before it. The first hunter watched it flee, then he laughed, a sound older than time itself, and across a million human worlds, billions laughed with him. The final transmission spread across the galaxy, across every ship, every station, every world. A single message, prey identified. The ancient darkness ran faster. Humanity followed. Final lines: humanity status, awake GhostFleet status, active first hunter status, restored primary directive. Hunt across the cosmos, civilizations watched the impossible. The oldest horror in existence was running for its life, and behind it came humanity. Because predators do not fear the dark, they teach it fear. The hunt continues.